Hi, I'm Jochem. Welcome to the Poltergeist Productions YouTube channel. And today we're going over the guitars. In the past videos we've delved into the drums and the bass. And now it's time to take a look at the processing on the guitars. On this track there's quite a few tracks of guitars. There's two main rhythm guitars, one octaved rhythm guitar, two more rhythm guitars for a break, for a bridge, I guess. Oh, it's in the verses. Now I remember. Then there's three lead guitars, one center and two left and right. That serve more like a ambient lead part. And last but not least, there's a center clean guitar and a left and right stereo or double tracked clean guitar. Let's just take a listen to the main riff, and then we'll do a part of the verse where's the other guitars. So here we go. Let's solo it. So that's that, and then for the other part, we'll go to here, to this. So that, and last but not least, let's do a bit of the lead guitars as well. So let's look at the processing. I'll switch everything off to start with. And I'll go back to the intro riff. I'll just do this one. It's the same riff. Let's look at the rhythm guitars first, like the standard two. I'll let you hear it without the processing, then I go over the inserts. If you haven't seen the previous videos, I always start with adding a channel strip on every channel, except the clean guitars, apparently. I think I know why. I'll get to that later. And it's just because I can very easily make some quick adjustments at the start of the processing phase. So here's it without any processing. It's a bit dark to my taste. You can see it in the EQing. There is these are the same, by the way, because it's a left and right stereo track, or a double track guitar. I'll boost quite a bit of top end, take out a bit of high mids, take out a bit of low mids, and boost a bit of the 220. So let me let you hear the difference. I never say that right at first. So without. And with. So you can hear it sounds a little less mid-rangey, a little less boxy, and it got a lot more presence. Maybe a bit too much even, but let's see what happens on the bass later. And there's also a bit of compression going on. Just a very tiny bit. Then let's add the octave guitar. Maybe solo it first so you could hear what it is. It's basically the same riff, but pitched down an octave. I chose to do it as a single track in the center this time, but sometimes it can be like a stereo track as well. So again, a double-tracked guitar part, which is tuned down an octave. For the processing, again, starting with the mix console, adding a bit of highs, taking out a bit of high mids, taking out a bit of low mids, and adding a bit of lows. I think these are exactly the same EQ moves as the other one, or more or less the same. Looks similar enough. And then the compression is a bit less because it's a louder recording, so it needed less compression. So let me let you hear it. So yeah, that's for the mix console, for the channel strip. And then there's some more EQing going on, a bit of a high pass and a bit of a high cut, or low cut and high cut, however you want to call it, and a bit of a dip around 375 and then 785, just to take out a bit of the boxiness again. And since the function of this track is just to give it a bit more heaviness to it, it's not that presence, and it's more of a supportive layer to the real, quote unquote, real rhythm guitars. So let's hear them together. Yeah, so that's that. And then there's two more rhythm guitars, and that's for the verse part. Words are hard. That's why I make music. It's way easier. And again, very similar processing. So it's a bit of a high boost, taking out a bit of high mids, taking out a bit of low mids, and boosting a bit of lows. No compression on this part. Probably because I didn't feel it needed it. So let's hear the difference. First without. You can really hear it getting a bit more tighter. Getting a bit tighter. The more wasn't necessary. So that's for the rhythm guitars. Let's take a look at the bus channel. Taking out a bit of 2K with a more narrow band, so I probably heard a problem frequency there, and taking out a bit of low mids. So let's hear the difference. Let's actually take this part again because it's more guitars. You can hear a lot of mids disappearing with that move. Then there's a quite complex EQ move, again with a low cut and a high cut. Low cut at around 74 and a half. So between 70 and 80 is usually where I end up for rhythm guitars anyway. And then 9.5, which is a fairly low cut. And then just taking out some of the mids and two problem frequencies here. So let's hear the difference. So that's that. Then again, that's two dynamic EQ moves to just tame the mids and the highs a bit, apparently. Let's hear the difference again. Not doing very much, but at one point I thought I needed it, and it was there in the end, so that's that, I guess. Then some bus compression, 2:1 ratio, 3 millisecond attack, 1.2 release, and quite low threshold. So let's see what it does. It's basically just gluing them a bit more, because it's the stereo track and the octave below, just to blend them. And then a bit of saturation again. So let's hear the difference. Just adds a little bit of presence, and I like it. Let's hear it together with the bass guitar, because that the lock between those two is important for me. And in this case, because the octave guitar is acting in the same frequency, like in the same octave as the bass, it was really important for me to that those two elements didn't get in each other's way, and I think it succeeded. So I hope you agree. Let's move to the lead guitars, which are not very utilized, just here. And the lead guitars are basically just a tapping riff, and then some longer notes to support the tapping, because, well, let's just listen to it. These are just the tapping riffs. And I think it's worth saying that the lead guitars are not meant to be a very prominent thing, but more a supportive thing to the orchestration, and we'll get to that in the next video, I guess. So those were the tapping riffs, and then just the top notes to support the line it's supposed to do. And then in the second part, the solo line is doing a harmony. So let's take a look at the processing. First, the channel strips, just a few EQ moves, and quickly looking at it, it's doing the exact same thing. So taking out a bit of highs, adding a bit of high mids to make it stand out more, taking out a bit of low mids and a bit of lows, and adding a bit of compression. So let's show you without. And with. So it's not a very big change, but it just takes out a bit of the harshness and gives it a bit more of its own place in the mix. And maybe it's worth saying that at no point in the mixing process I go through every part like soloed like I do now. So sometimes moves might seem a bit weird, or without the context, it's not clear why the moves are where they are. But in the totality of the mix, it probably makes sense. So let's go to the bus channel. And for the bus processing, there's nothing going on in the channel strip again. It's just there because it's there. Then there's probably some EQ moves, yes. A fairly high low cut, around 130 hertz, because it's a very high part, so there's not much going on in that range anyway. Then a bit of a dip in the high mids, a problem frequency around 2.5K, and then a roll off around 10 kilohertz. So let's hear the difference. It just tames like the harshness in my ears. And then there's one more thing, because I heard some build-up in the high frequencies. So I put on a Freak Sniper, which is like a very selective, narrow band EQ, dynamic EQ. And I'll let you hear the difference, and I'll let you hear the delta as well. So here's without. And with. And just like this, it's always, I find it a bit hard to hear what it's exactly doing. But if you listen to the delta, so the difference, you can hear what's taken out, and it's always very prominent after that. So here's what it takes out. There's a very bell-like overtones that just muddy up the mix. And now if you listen again, without and then with, you can probably hear it better. It just takes out all the harshness. I very like this plugin in a limited amount of times. It's so easy to put it on as a quick fix for everything, but that just kills the mix in my opinion. And last but not least, for the lead guitars, some reverb, of course, because you probably heard that it was very dry. There's not much reverb or delay going on the sound itself, and that's because I do it in a separate aux track. So again, without and then with. Needs to turn on. I've got to be turned on. So here's with the reverb. It just washes it away a bit, and I really like it, especially in this mix. Maybe together with the rhythm guitars. Excuse me. Just for the context. Yes. So finally, let's take a quick look at the clean guitars. And I mentioned that there's no channel strip on here. And I remember that because when I started mixing, I forgot to take off the amp sim. So there was an insert. I didn't notice it. Then I heard that something was not alright. I took out the mix console, the channel strip, and didn't put it in. Or I took out the MSIM and didn't put a channel strip in. So that's like the honest to God reason that isn't there. It isn't an deliberate choice geweest. It hasn't been a deliberate choice. Threw in a bit of Dutch there. All right, let's listen to it. Very simple line. So let's listen to the bus processing. There's a bit of top end boost, bit of high mids taken out of, and took out a bit of low mids as well, and added a bit of lows to give it a bit more body. And there's a bit of compression as well. So let's hear the difference. So yeah, fairly subtle. The compressor isn't doing anything. Maybe it did at some point, but in the mixing process I changed some things, and apparently it doesn't do anything anymore. But it's alright, because it didn't bother me. Then just taking out a bit of 3K. Just taming a bit of harshness again. And then some saturation. And I put in a strings warmth preset on here, just because I wanted to add a bit of saturation, but not as much as, for instance, on the bass or the guitars. So let's hear the difference again. So yeah, it adds just a bit more body to it, and a bit more warmth, which is exactly what the presets promised us. And then again, I put a send to the reverb, and it's the same reverb as the lead guitars. So let's hear the difference again. Let me check if it's on. It is now. So it is without. And with. So yeah, same thing as with the lead guitars, just give it a bit of a wash, a bit of space, and I really like those kind of reverbs on these elements. Jesus. So that's it for the guitars. Let's hear it with the bass and the drums, and then we'll end the video. So that's that for the guitars. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things if you like this video. And I'll see you in the next one, where we'll go over the orchestration. Yes. All right. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.